Hey guys, it's Brandon here, and we're on site today in sunny, beautiful North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, just outside of 1002 Parin Drive. It's a duplex that's a short-term vacation rental property located right here on the third row from the beach. Now, in today's video, we are going to hop into a profit and loss statement for an as-is scenario as well as a remodeled scenario. So we're going to look at this property and find out just how much profit it can make just as it sits. Then we're going to analyze a profit and loss statement of how much you can make after a remodel. Now, these profit and loss statements are going to have all of your operating expenses, your gross rental income numbers, and of course your profit and loss. So we're going to break down what it looks like to own and operate a short-term vacation rental duplex that is this close to the beach. Now, additionally, we are going to hop into your appreciation. How well will this property appreciate if we time the market right? If we buy low, if we sell high? Guys, I'm telling you, over a 14-year period, this property raked in $28,000 per year just in appreciation. That does not count annual profits. Additionally, guys, we are going to hop into understanding your depreciation. How do we have a defensible basis for depreciating this property and getting all the tax write-offs that we need? I'm going to dive into that with you. Finally, we're going to hop into how your taxable income impacts you. Exactly. Just how much you're going to be responsible for paying taxes, owning and operating this property. We're also going to look at the cash flows. How much is going to actually hit your account and where is it coming from? Now, we are going to dive into selling this property 5 years up the road. We're going to look at what your mortgage balance is. We're going to look at, how much we can get the property sold for. We're going to look at a calculation of your adjusted basis, what the IRS is saying that this property is valued at, that you're going to be responsible for. Additionally, we'll do your calculation on capital gain. And finally, your calculation on sales proceeds after taxes so that you know how much you can expect to walk away with 5 years from now. And I can give you a quick clue, guys. This property, I estimate over 1.1, almost $1.2 million you should be able to make owning, operating, and holding this property over a 5-year period post remodel. Now, I'm going to get into all those nuts and bolts in the video. We're going to also hop into your net present value. We're going to value those cash flows. If I put in X amount of dollars in initial investment up front, this property generates X amount of dollars in profit over a 5-year period each and every year, and I can sell it and walk away with that almost $1.2 million. Well, is it worth it? If I have a 10% hurdle rate, an opportunity cost of 10% elsewhere, I can go put my money elsewhere and make 10%. Why should I do this deal? We're going to examine that and explain exactly why. And finally, guys, we are going to hop into what other short-term vacation rental properties like duplexes, triplexes, and even quadplexes are doing in our market so that you can have a comparison. An eye for an eye comparison of what other similar properties are doing in our market. So hey, do I need to invest in a duplex, or would the extra money in a triplex be worth it? Perhaps I should go for that quadplex that's $8.9 million, which is in another video. Now, guys, we're also going to hop into your attractions, everything that's local right here in the area, and we're going to take a quick walk up the street so that you can see just how close is that walk to the beach. All valuable information that drives tourists to keep renting this property over and over again. Now, guys, I've got an investor must-watch playlist right here on the channel. You have to check it out. I interviewed Gosha Cook. She's an accountant. She owns 24 properties, commercial properties, 15 oceanfront condos, long-term rentals. She has a very conservative approach to investing. You don't want to miss it. I also interviewed Matt Freeze. Now, Matt Freeze owns 11 oceanfront condos. He did own some long-term rentals, sold them off to get into the Myrtle Beach oceanfront condo game. He is a lender by trade. He's a risk taker. He is not like Gosha in the sense that she's very conservative and he's a risk taker. He's got a different approach. I can tell you he did make as much as $1.4 million. That's $22,500 on average on 8 of his oceanfront condos over an 8-year period. Yes, he is killer at the oceanfront condo short-term vacation rental game. You don't want to miss that interview. I also interviewed Rufia Nigro, who owns over $10 million worth of Myrtle Beach oceanfront condos. Yes, That's 27 Myrtle Beach oceanfront condos. She lives in Florida, but owns all of her oceanfront condos in Myrtle Beach. If you want to know why, you have to watch the must-see investor playlist on the channel. Now, guys, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. It only takes you a second. It does me a lot of good. It helps me out. Send me your questions and your comments. I'll do my best to answer all of them myself. And guys, I don't want to hold us up. We need to get into this video. Let's come on and check out 1002 Parin Drive. You'd like to invest in commercial real estate. I'd like to show you how these properties make profit and break down all their expenses so you understand how they operate, how they appreciate over time, and how this will impact your taxes. I'd also like to let you know the property's cap rate and how it compares with similar properties in the market, how the location best services its users, and the potential for future growth. I'd like to fill you in on the historical and future occupancy trends, as well as potential management structures affecting the investment. And we won't miss the investment's risk profile nor the best exit strategies. Yes, we'll cover the condition of the property, any value add potential and repositioning, but we'll also dive into special topics like customer base, market positioning, and marketing and booking strategies when it applies. And if you stay tuned until the end, I'll show you my top picks for the best commercial real estate deals that have generated the most annual profits, have the highest appreciation, and the best tax implications. So no matter if you're a first-time investor or a seasoned professional transitioning into the real estate game, or perhaps simply a casual investor looking to relocate to the beach to live, play, and invest so that the passive income can support you in your retirement years, whether you have 20% to pay down because you're financing or you're a cash buyer, if it's a commercial real estate investment that you're after, you'll be better because I'm aiming to give you a 10 times return on your time for watching my videos until the end. All right, guys, we are on site today right here in North Myrtle Beach at 1002 Parin Drive. You can see this is a duplex right in front of us. Now, immediately to the left, we have some other homes, as you can see. It doesn't seem like too much tremendous competition there. Now, just across right on the other side, you can see over here, we can see that they've got some, just off in the distance, some apartment complexes around here. Now, we do have another short-term vacation rental property just here across the street. And you can see that they are doing construction here. Now, this is a really, really good sign, guys. If they're doing construction and building properties like these short-term vacation rental duplexes, triplexes, and quads, literally directly across the street, then obviously there is value in this game. People do not spend money building million-dollar properties if they can't make money. Now, you'll see off in the distance, we got some oceanfront condo resorts here and another one just here. And that, guys, pretty much wraps it up for the neighborhood. I am going to take you on a quick walk and show you just how close the beach is in just a little bit. Let's get into this property. All right, guys, first we're going to take a quick tour outside. Again, this is a duplex, so there's a lower entrance and an upper entrance. You got a unit downstairs and a unit above. I just want you to get a look at the nice landscaping, showers. Very, very cool. Nice little perk. Grill right outside. This is your rear driveway. As you can see, your patio out back. And of course, your pool. Let's get in here and check it out. Oops. Little kiddie section. Pretty standard pool, as you can see. Then I'm going to bring you quickly over this way. And here is the side. I believe you should invest in commercial real estate in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina especially in multifamily properties because of the strong rental demand from a growing population. The city's population grew by over 20% just in the last decade, with a significant portion of new residents moving here due to the low cost of living, warm climate, and access to beach amenities. I believe you should invest in commercial or real estate in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, especially in multifamily properties because of the tourism-driven economy. Tourism accounts for over 25% of the region's economy. The demand from tourism-related workers ensures a steady flow of renters in multifamily units year-round. I believe you should invest in commercial real estate in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, especially in multifamily properties because of the affordable property prices and high cap rates. With an average cap rate for multifamily properties being typically around 7 to 8%, our market is higher than national averages for coastal areas, offering strong rental yield potential. I believe you should invest in commercial real estate in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, especially in multifamily properties because of the potential for value-add investments. Many properties near the coast have strong locations but may be underperforming due to outdated facilities or lack of amenities. Renovating these properties can create significant upside for potential investors. All right, stairs on both sides leading to the upper unit. We're coming into the lower unit. This is obviously a covered porch, some beautiful lighting, some hardy board, very sharp, very nice. Now we come inside. We have rooms all along each side with a kitchen we'll get to in just a minute, and a room this way. I'm going to start this way and we're going to work our way around. You'll notice the super cool ceiling, flat screen TV, bed, modern touches, modern decor, connects to a bathroom. Now this is one of those little pop-in, pop-out doors. As you can see, a nice, spacious bathroom. Very, very spacious, which is cool. Showers. And it does flow kind of Jack and Jillish right into the next bedroom, which we'll get into in a minute. I want to kind of weave you in and out so you can see the living room. Bingo. There's that room that we were connected to by the bathroom. Again, flat screen TV. Obviously, dining room table, living room setup, and of course, your kitchen. Nice little bar setup here. You've got a washer and dryer here. Stove, microwave, sink, a refrigerator. Everything that you need. Spacious kitchen. Plenty of space. Now, you got your rear porch here. We'll get to in just a minute. Let's knock out these rooms. This is probably the smallest room in the unit here. It does have a flat screen though. Very, very nice. Next room, flat screen, connects to its own restroom, as you can see. Nice setup. And then we have one more room here, and then we will get out of to the rear porch. Cool. Look at that. Beautiful, modern, flat screen. Nice full bathroom. Very, very nice. Let's get out the back deck. Very large and nice back deck, as you can see. Here are our stairs leading up. Let's do it. This is a really cool feature too, guys. These kinds of spiral stairs. Now we are officially on the porch of the second unit. There's our entrance. Now these stairs are closed off. It doesn't look like they're using the competitive sustainable advantage I mentioned earlier, that rooftop section. All right, as you can see, unit 2. First bedroom, probably the smallest. Next bedroom, again, has that its own bathroom, own restroom. Dining room, kitchen, we'll get to in just a minute. Living room, flat screens, cool fans. Nice bedroom, again, flat screen. Its own restroom. Again, these cool pop-it doors. Pop in, pop out. Restroom. No. Here you go. Check that out. Pretty cool. Very spacious, very nice. Very nice setup. Again, this can be closed off if need be. If not, you're in the next room. That simple, very Jack and Jill-ish. Dining room. Of course, your kitchen. Granite countertops. You got your washer and your dryer. Stove, microwave, sink, refrigerator, and it's spacious. Let's just take that look here. All right, now let's go check out the front porch. It is a covered porch, which is phenomenal. Lots of space, or it's partially covered. And those stairs that lead down. Well, guys, that wraps up our tour. Now, I have got to draw your attention to this. I got to stop and do it because it is super, super important. This section right up top, this section right here, that is what we call a sustainable competitive advantage. That is something that this short-term vacation rental duplex has that other properties that are similar do not have. This is where I would spend my attention, my focus, and my money. I would turn that into the oases of oases. I'd spend some decor dollars there. I would deck it out. I would turn it into whatever that you could, because other units, if you just look around, nothing around here has anything like that. So that is the one strategic factor that gives you an advantage over the competition, and I would use that to its fullest degree. Absolutely. Totally deck it out. Now, let's get inside this first unit. I believe you should invest in commercial real estate in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, because our market has been the fastest growing market out of the 150 most populated markets for the past 3 years. Over 90,600 people relocated to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina in 2023 alone. This means increased demand for commercial space like retail, multifamily, office, and industrial, and ultimately excellent annual profits and appreciation. Now, for retail, more residents equal more consumers equal higher rental sales potential. This drives up rents and occupancy in retail centers. For multifamily, higher population boosts demand for rental housing, pushing rents up and lowering vacancy. Now, for office, job growth typically follows population growth, increasing demand for office space. For industrial, more people means more consumption and e-commerce activity, increasing warehouse and last-mile logistics demand. Ultimately, the return on investment impact is higher rents, lower vacancy, and rising property values that drive higher net operating income and depreciation. I believe you should invest in commercial or real estate in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, especially oceanfront hotels in the hospitality industry because of the 20 to 22 million tourists that visit our market each year, which is the number 2 vacation destination on the East Coast. High tourism equals steady demand, making it one of the most visited beach destinations in the United States. Our oceanfront hotels benefit from consistent seasonal occupancy, premium nightly rates compared to inland properties, and repeat visitors including families, snowbirds, and golfers. All right, guys, so let's work through a multifamily short-term rental comparison table that's going to list several other multifamily short-term vacation rental properties in our market so that you can kind of get an understanding of the competitive advantage of 1002 Parin Drive. Now, we've got 931 South Ocean Boulevard. It's ranked number 1 on the list. Obviously, we plugged all of these properties into a ranking system. We ranked basically, if it has more units, it's obviously more valuable. If it has higher square footage, it's more valuable. If the building age is newer, it's more valuable. If the gross operating income is higher, it's more valuable. And if the price is lower, it's more valuable. If the cap rate is higher, it's more valuable. And if the historical appreciation is higher, it's more valuable. And of course, if the profit is higher, it's more valuable. So we plugged all of these different variables into a system and had it rank the properties 1 through 5 based on the metrics I just mentioned. Now, 931 South Ocean Boulevard, ranked number 1 on the list, has 4 units, 16,000 square feet, was built back in 2005. Yes, it has a gross operating income of $1,040,000. It's a quadplex with 4 units. They're each making $260,000 a year. Wow. Anyways, now it's also got an $8.9 million price. It's got a cap rate of 3.9%. Probably is not as high as what some investors would want, which we'll get into in just a minute. The historical appreciation, we've got $3 million. They've obviously $3,040,000. They bought this property cheap. They put a ton of money into it, remodeling it. They made it a pristine diamond. And obviously now it is a cash machine. That profit here is $301,111.98. Be sure to check out the video on 931 South Ocean Boulevard. Now, 4700 South Ocean Boulevard, ranked number 2 on the list. It has 7 units. Technically, it's an apartment complex. The square footage is only 3,000. It was built in 1954. It has a gross operating income, it was built in 1954, has a gross operating income of $204,122, has a price of only $1.6 million, a lot cheaper than that $8.9 million. Cap rate's much higher, 7.5%. Investors probably like that. We're going to get into that in a minute. The higher cap rate bodes well with many investors. Your historical appreciation is $790,000. So obviously it's got the potential to appreciate pretty well. Your profit was $227,077.57. Now 1002 Parin Drive, this is our subject property. It is ranked number 3 on the list based on these variables. We're going to get into a market analysis next, so it might change your opinion of some of these things. It has 2 units. It's a duplex, 3,100 square feet, built in 1959. $207,182.91 is the gross operating income based off my scenarios. Your purchase price was only $1.249. Very, very cheap with a 7% cap rate, which is a higher one on the board. Historical appreciation was only $395. The profit was $77,733.41. 412 Seaside Drive, ranked number 4 on the list. It's a duplex, 3,696 square feet, built back in 1994. Gross operating income was $181,8861. Purchase price was $1.693 million. Cap rate real low, 2.7%. Historical appreciation $435. Profit $27,861.60. And then finally 510 South Ocean Boulevard, ranked number 5, but a heck of a deal. I think it's one of my favorite on the board. We'll get into why later. All right, units. 3 units is a triplex, 5,363 square feet. Building age 1982. Gross operating income $310,774.37. Price was $1.796 million. 8% cap rate, highest on the board. Historical appreciation was only $370,000, and then your profit was $128,424.98. Now, we've got to ask ourselves the question, what's the competitive advantage of 1002 Parin Drive? Why should I buy that one when compared to other multifamily short-term rental properties in our market? Now, the high cap rate of 7%, the competitive advantage of 1002 Parin Drive lies in its balance of affordability and income potential. The high cap rate of 7% among the top performers for return on investment compared to price, especially versus larger and newer properties like 931 South Ocean Boulevard at 3.9% cap rate. This makes it attractive for cash flow focused investors. Let's break that statement down because it is loaded, guys. If I've got a property that has a net operating income of $100,000 and it has a cap rate of 5%, then that property is going to sell for $2 million. If I have another property with a net operating income of $100,000, yet it has a cap rate of 5%, the purchase price is only $1,250,000. Now, which property is the investor going to like more? He's going to like the one that has the higher cap rate, that 8% cap rate, because he's basically getting the same income on the property for a cheaper price, for a cheaper purchase price. Both properties are generating $100,000 net income. One's got a cheaper price. It's costing him less to buy that $100,000 worth of income. Thus, his cash-on-cash return increases. Now, let's keep moving on the competitive advantage of 1002 Parin Drive. Guys, lower price point at $1.249 million. It's one of the least expensive options on the list, lowering the barrier to entry while still generating over $200,000 in gross operating income, giving investors strong yield efficiency. The historical appreciation at $395, while not the highest, it does show steady asset growth despite being an older building, 1959. Suggesting resilience and long-term viability, which it also could be suggested that the market in that area where that building is better, which is helping to sustain the price of the property and the appreciation of it. Because here's a very old building, but it's appreciating well. So the market probably has something to do with that. Now, the moderate profit of $77,000, though not the top performer, it delivers a healthy balance of cash flow plus appreciation for a smaller property with only 2 units. In short, 1002 Parin Drive offers strong relative cash flow, cap rate, steady appreciation, and low acquisition costs, making it a strategic choice for investors seeking an accessible entry point with solid returns. That simple and that easy. I get calls and emails every day from investors just like you looking to make their move into the Myrtle Beach market. They want to invest in short-term vacation rental properties. They want to invest in oceanfront condos. They want to know where the best deals are in our market. Well, guys, you're talking to the right person. 843-360-1737. I'm going to help you put your hands on the best deals in our market. If you're a first-time investor or a seasoned investor, if you're 1 year, 6 months, 3 years out, I don't care where you are in the investing process, pick up the phone, give me a call, send me an email, shoot me a text message, and let one of the many stories on our channel be one of your stories. Yeah, absolutely. So guys, I want to just backtrack real quick. For anybody wanting to get into this business and you're serious about it, you need to self-manage the property.
Yes.
You're going to learn way more than you would if you pass it off to a property manager. Plus, you don't want to have to go through the gambit of getting bad property managers to deal with all the hassles and all that. If you just learn the business, you might find eventually a property manager that would be great for you.
Yeah, well, you need to know
A local person. We have somebody in our church that small. The more that the property management is small, find a small property management that you can negotiate better, and the guy doesn't have a lot of property to manage.
Yep.
So he will be in top of
yours.
of yours.
Yeah, of your property.
But don't go with a property manager that has the thousands of property. It will be hard.
Find someone who's gonna treat this property as his own.
Correct.
Yep.
I will look
And
for it
and I will tell you again, with the whole adage of self-managing, like nobody's going to treat your investment as well as you will.
Exactly. That's it become your baby.
Yep.
Versus you give your baby for a nanny.
Yeah, come on now. and who would do that? Come on now.
No, well, you can give it to them, but you still see homework, see
That's
what
right.
you've seen. The more you put effort, the more you gain.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No gain, no pain, no gain.
Yep.
That's
And
it.
it's like anything in life, guys.
Yeah.
What you get out of this, what you put into it. Bottom line. All right, guys. So let's work through an as-is purchase scenario right here at 1002 Parin Drive. Now, as is in the sense that you don't have to remodel it, you don't have to do anything to it. As it sits right now, with excellent marketing, a great guest experience, you can generate this profit and loss statement easily for this property. Now, it's a duplex. It has 2 units, an upper and a lower. The purchase price is $1,249,000. Your acquisition cost, that's your attorney, your inspection, and your broker fees. Your attorney is going to be about $1,200. Your inspection is going to be about $500. Your broker fees are going to be 2% of the purchase price. That's going to put you at $26,680. Now, your loan fees are 2% of the loan amount. That is not the purchase price amount. The loan amount is going to be 75% of the purchase price amount. So we got 2% of that loan amount is going to put you at $18,735. Now, less the mortgage. In other words, the mortgage again is that 75% of the purchase price. That's $936,750. That simple and that easy, guys. You got your purchase price. You add in your acquisition cost. You add in your loan cost, your loan fees, and then you take out the mortgage, and you're going to be left with the initial investment, which is your out-of-pocket expenses to get into this investment. That's $357,665. Now, your net operating income. Net operating income is your gross operating income, which another way to say that is your gross rental income minus your annual operating expenses. That's going to be $38,325.35. Again, that gross rental income or gross operating income was $154,614.11. Now, this unit, I want to say in 2023, generated $136 and some change. 154, that number, how I arrived at it is I've seen other similar duplexes and triplexes bring in this amount. They're booked about 330 nights out of the year. It's a 90% occupancy rate. Their average daily rate is about $441. It's totally doable with a great guest experience, good customer service, the right marketing. Absolutely. You can definitely make that here. Now, your VRBO fees. It's 8% of the rentals that you took off of the VRBO platform. I've estimated that out of that $154,000 worth of gross rental income, about $60,000 of it is going to come from VRBO platform rentals. So 8% of that $60,000 has you at $4,800. The Airbnb platform fee of 3% is $2,838.42. So the remaining rentals beyond that $60,000, less the $154, is going to be 3% for using the Airbnb platform fee. So if you've got $154,614.11 in gross rental income, gross operating income, you take out the $4,800 for VRBO fee, you take out the $2,838.42, you are left with a subtotal of $146,975.69 in income left on the property. Now, you have to factor in your principal and interest. We've got you at $74,786.64. Because this is not beyond 4 units, you can still do a 30-year fixed rate loan at 7% interest. You do not have to have a commercial jumbo loan to do this property. Now, your personal property taxes, I've got you estimated at $1,391.53. Anytime you own an investment property and operate it in the state of South Carolina, you are going to have to pay personal property taxes on your furnishings. That's what that's for. Your property taxes in 2024 were $10,652.17. That is for the year. That simple, that easy. Your home plus flood insurance, we have you at $4,087. Your electricity, we have you at $5,454.12. Your house supplies, we have you at $3,795.07. Your internet and TV, we have you at $1,800. Your pest control, $600. Pool service, we have you at $2,068.39. Your water bill, about $720. Your landscaping, we've got you at $600. Your local hospitality and accommodations tax, it's going to be $4,638.14. Excuse me, 42. $4,638.42. That's going to be 1.5% to the city of North Myrtle Beach and 1.5% to Horry County. That is for your business license to own and operate a short-term vacation rental business here in this market. Now, your excise tax, we've got you at $1,057. Essentially, guys, you are going to have to pay a $145 base fee for the first $2,000 in gross rental income that you generate, then a $6 per every $1,000 that you make thereafter in gross rental income for your use of the police department and the fire department. And then I've got you at maintenance. I've got a simple maintenance fund. It's going to be 3% of the gross operating income. That's going to put you at $4,638.42. That's your reserves, your maintenance, your just in case fund, basically. Now that's going to bring you to a net operating expense subtotal of $116,288.76. If you take that $116,288.76 from your subtotal up top of $147,975.69, yes, if you self-manage this property, you are left with $30,686.93. Not a bad side hustle, might I say. If you pass it off to a property manager that charges you 10%, you'll still walk away with $15,225.51. Again, guys, this is going to assume 77 turnovers for the year, 330 nights booked, an average daily rate of $468.53, and then an average revenue per stay of $2,007.98. Guys, that's a cash-on-cash return of 3% and a cap rate of 3.1%. Well, guys, you wouldn't believe it, but driving by on her golf cart was the legendary Miss Kathy, who happens to have worked for Elliott Beach Rentals, which is a local property management company that is highly successful in our market. And she volunteered to jump on the video. So
might have been a big mistake here.
We'll find out in a minute. So talk to me about people and investors that do these type duplexes and triplexes that are third row, second row from the beach. Why do these work so well?
Well, first of all, the companies, they have huge marketing initiatives. I mean, they're all over the place. So you, especially Elliott, a lot of them, you ride around, you see their signs on all the houses, which makes you realize they must be, good at what they do.
No doubt, no doubt.
But they also have all these local vendors that they can contact if, a renter has an issue, even in the middle of the night, depending on what the issue is.
Absolutely.
So they've got people that are, get things done in a 24-hour period. Like if your refrigerator breaks down or, whatever, you have a leak.
Yep.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah,
You got
absolutely.
somebody 24/7 to call. It's not like having your owner up in New York or something and you're trying to get a hold of him, her about an issue, and then they got to find somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just,
So, question. So, how do these properties do generally? Do you find that a lot of investors are satisfied after buying them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think they're very satisfied. I mean, I've met lots of our homeowners. I was actually the golf director for Elliott, so I booked the golf packages for all the guys and everything. Can you get through? I might need to move my cart. Can you get through?
You got it? Okay, you good? Sorry, guys. We are navigating a golf cart and a truck. Yeah, he's got it. He's got it. You got it.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
I didn't pull off.
So groups of golfers come and rent these.
Yes.
Families that want a vacation come and rent these.
Correct.
Snowbirds, retirees.
Correct. They're getting more and more year round. I've been here almost 30 years on the beach.
Yep.
And I've seen the growth. I mean, it's huge.
Yep.
And the number of people. I remember, this time of the year, it was pretty dead around here. Well, it's not like that anymore. They're here year round.
It's year round. And I try to tell people that, like, our properties, like I had an investor call me and I was talking to him, or I called him or something. And he was saying, well, why should I buy there? In Florida, we can rent our condos 12 months out of the year. I'm like, Dude, we rent our stuff 12 months out of the year.
Yes, we do, and we don't get near the hurricanes that they do.
That's a very, very good point.
We don't get near the hurricanes.
Yeah, and for everyone that's concerned about insurance and all that sort of thing, and hurricanes destroying your property, floods coming and flooding it, guys, this is routine history for investors.
Right.
Investors come, they buy flood insurance, they buy homeowners insurance. They're covered if something takes place and destroys a part of the property. They've got HO6 insurance for the interior if a guest destroys something. For an investor, it's routine history. It's not even a big deal. They're covered exterior and interior through their insurance.
Correct.
So they're not over there sweating when there is a hurricane that comes through, because guess what? They're just going to call their insurance company and file a claim.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, okay, so let's talk about, how simple it is to run these. From your experience, let's say that you have a property like a duplex here. Are you going to get 1,000 calls over a year? Is it more likely that you're only going to get 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 calls from guests? How does that work exactly?
Well, I would say probably nowadays the majority is booked online.
Okay.
Or at least they'll look at their pictures. They'll do their research and they'll look at the pictures. They're looking for a 5-bedroom or a 6-bedroom. We got 8-bedroom condos.
Yeah, for real.
Down here. So, and they'll look at the property size, and then they'll start looking, and they may have some questions. They may call, want to book it that way. Sometimes there's a special. You book it online, you get a better deal. Yep. So as long as, most of these companies have really good pictures of their places, where you can really see everything. They keep them updated. I know that Elliot keeps theirs updated. They go and check the places, and if the pictures don't match, because homeowners will make changes. They'll upgrade stuff and don't think to say, hey, we need new pictures because we got new furniture. Or
we painted, we put an accent wall there.
Whatever. So
now,
they do that.
Do you think that there's a lot of competition between these duplexes and these properties, a block off the beach and the oceanfront condo resorts, or is that 2 totally different markets?
It's really just 2 totally different markets.
I think so too.
You can, where we're standing now, you can get the beach in what, a minute?
Literally.
Yeah, or
literally,
half
guys.
a minute.
Actually, let's just kind of twist and turn, guys. Okay. Back, that's the oceanfront condos right there. We're a 1-minute walk to the beach.
Yeah. And you can save literally thousands. By not booking right on the ocean.
And that's a very, very good point.
It really is.
So you're saying that there are guests out there that will book one of these because they don't necessarily want all of the on-site amenities. They don't want lazy rivers and all the stuff. They want a simple, secluded vacation with them and their group and their family, whoever they got coming. And they don't want to pay exorbitant fees to go have lazy rivers and Starbucks and all that.
Exactly. And they also, there are a lot of people like the resorts for all those amenities.
For sure.
They got kids, so it gives kids something to do. But then there's others that just want a house where they aren't bothered by other people around.
Yep.
A lot of them have their own pool, so they have access to their very own pool, their very own hot tub. So many of these big houses have game rooms,
I know,
pool tables,
movie theaters.
I know, media rooms, all kinds of stuff.
So now, do you think guests would pay a premium to have something this close to the beach, but not have to deal with all the tourism and all the traffic over there?
I know they would.
Would.
I've seen it. I've seen it over and over and over again, so it's just, it's really dependent on the person. There's that person who wants to get up, sit on a balcony, drink their coffee, look at that expanse of water out there. It is just a bunch of water.
Yeah, water and sand, right?
But then there's some that go, well, I'd rather save some money, or I'd rather have a space that's just mine.
Yep.
Or, for what I want to be away from the hubbub of everything, but I can still walk down to the beach, take my chair and sit there and look at that chunk of water out there.
Now, let's talk about HOAs. HOAs are a hot topic. People that buy condos are all up in arms a lot of times over HOAs. Well, with properties like this, you don't have HOAs.
Correct.
What's the drawback?
I don't think there really is a drawback. The city, makes them keep their place up. They can't let it go to ruins, or the city will come, send them letters, whatever they do, to tell them, you got to do something about this.
For sure.
So then the homeowner doesn't have that HOA they have to deal with, because I will agree with you. I am so lucky I don't have an HOA, and I live a couple of blocks from the beach.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's very, very nice. But you know that in the condos, you got to have the
You gotta,
HOAs. You got to have
it's
everybody.
close quarters.
Yes.
Yeah, and if you got one, if it would be like the Wild Wild West.
Exactly.
People would be doing crazy stuff.
Exactly.
The property would lose value. You wouldn't be able to make money on appreciation if you bought it. You know, it would just be a mess out there.
Exactly.
But properties like this, you don't have that same kind of thing. Yeah.
No, it just in my opinion, whenever anybody used to ask me, I would have my golfers. I'm thinking about maybe buying a place down there that I can rent out until I'm ready to retire and move down there myself.
Yeah.
And I always say, look for a house through the avenues. Just,
okay.
You know, that's what I call these avenues.
Like over here, like second, third, and fourth row?
Yeah, exactly. And look for one of those because, number one, you're not going to have to worry about the HOA fees.
Okay.
You know, and a lot of these you can rent year-round. Like I said, golfers. The fall and spring, they come. And they're tired of staying in 4 or 5 condos. They're spread out all over the place. They get a nice house where all 4, 8, 12, however many come can sleep. And they tend to, like that.
Absolutely.
A lot better. And so do families do too. They can just do their own thing and they don't have the crowds. They don't have to worry about people misbehaving around the pool at the resort or whatever like that. Yeah, the noise.
Okay, so do you see any of these properties? Have you ever found any of these properties that make ridiculous money?
Oh yeah, those big old oceanfront.
No, well, okay, so the oceanfront
they
ones?
make, they of course will make the most, but I have seen some of the houses that Ellie would rent that make a very good living.
Yeah, I found a quadplex recently. They are asking like $8.9 million for it. But they're saying, it's 4 units that are 6 and 7 bed. 2 of them are 6 bedrooms,
Okay.
2 of them are 7 bedrooms. So it's a really big property.
Right. On the ocean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that property.
And they're saying it'll make $260,000 a unit.
It will.
It will.
Yeah.
Easily.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it stays.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know which one you're talking about. We used to rent it. I used to put a lot of golfers in there. I actually rented the whole 4-plex one time to a big old group.
Get out.
They got all 4 of them.
Man.
So it was just, and there's group that they seem to come here, extended families.
Yep. Will
come here, the grandparents, the aunts, uncles, and they all share, it's big groups. The 1 bedrooms, they don't get rented especially in the summertime, like these bigger properties
all day long. And you don't have as much headache with the larger properties.
Right.
People that are, the large groups of guests and stuff they're not problematic.
Right. No, not usually. You'll always have a few here and there
no doubt.
that don't know how to act. But, for the most part, you're going to have responsible families renting these houses and just enjoying their vacation.
All right. Well, any piece of advice that you would give a potential investor looking to invest right here a few blocks from the beach in one of these homes?
Well, make sure that you have the correct bedding in there, that it'll accommodate enough people and it has enough spaces. When you got a house that accommodates 16, 20 people, you got to make sure you got enough space for the kitchen.
Yeah.
For everybody to sit around the table.
Chairs.
But the more your place will accommodate, the more money you can get.
It's that simple, guys.
Yeah.
The more bedrooms you add on and the more it's going to appreciate.
Right.
The larger, the nicer it is, the more it's going to appreciate.
Exactly.
Less problematic guests.
And as you can see, that's basically what they're building around here.
Yep.
Are the larger places. I've been amazed just riding around today that how much building I'm seeing going on.
Oh, this place is blowing up, guys. Baby boomers are retiring at $10,000 per day, and they're moving to Myrtle Beach into Florida. And they figured out that they get more for their money in Myrtle Beach than they do in Florida, and our market is just blowing up.
And we don't have as many hurricanes.
All right, so let's work through a remodel scenario purchase right here at 1002 Parin Drive, guys. That purchase price is $1,249,000. You add in acquisition cost of $26,680. You add in loan fees, which is 2% of the loan amount of $18,735. You take out the mortgage of $936,750, and you add in remodel cost. I've got you at $75,000 total. That's roughly $37,500 per unit. That's going to bring you to an initial investment of $432,665. Now your net operating income was $86,948.90. Your gross operating income, which is your gross rental income, was $207,182.91. That is a 34% increase after you remodel this unit. You're going to be able to rent it for more, and you're going to book more nights because it's a nicer product. You're going to take more market share. 34% increase. That's going to bring you to 207, 182.91. Your VRBO fee, again, $4,800, which is $60,000 worth of VRBO rentals, 8% of that, and then you've got your Airbnb platform fee, which is 3% of the remaining rentals. Essentially, you take that 207, 182.91, you take out the $60,000 for VRBO rentals, and then you multiply those remaining rentals by that 3%. It's going to give you $4,415.49. Now, if we have that gross rental income of 207, 182, we take out VRBO fees, we take out Airbnb platform fees, we are left with a subtotal of 197,967.42. Your principal and interest was 74,786.64. Personal property taxes, 1,864.65. Your property taxes of 2024 were 10,652.17. Your home and flood insurance, 4,087. Electricity was 5,454.12. House supplies, 1,800. Internet and TV, 1,800. House supplies were 3,795.07. Internet and TV, 1,800. Pest control, 600. Pool service, 2,068.39. Water bill, 720. Landscape, 600. Local hospitality and accommodations tax, 6,215.49. Excise tax, 1,375. Your maintenance of the property, which is 3% of the gross operating income, 6,215.49. Guys, if you add all those operating expenses up for the year, you are left with a net operating expense subtotal of 120,234.01. Now, if you take the subtotal up top of the remaining gross rental income of 197,967.42 and you subtract it from your net operating expense subtotal of 120,234.01, you are left with a profit of $77,733.41 if you self-manage. Now, if you hire a property manager at 10% of the gross operating income, you are still left with a profit of $57,015.12. Guys, that's a cash-on-cash return of 18% and a cap rate of 7%. Guys, you are putting in $432,665 and getting out $77,000 in your first year. Where can you do that? Can you do that in the stock market? Maybe if it's your day job and you're a wizard, a stock market wizard. Can you do that in long-term rentals? No. Can you do that in commercial properties? Yes. You can do that in the right commercial property. Can you do that in a commercial property on the beach that you can use? You and your friends and your family and your golf buddies? Yeah, there you go. There's the trade-off. You can do it right here. We're simply second, third row from the beach in North Myrtle Beach all day long with this duplex right here at 1002 Parin Drive. All right, now I'm going to take a quick walk to the beach and cover some more of this data with you as we walk to the beach. Now, your mortgage data, guys, your mortgage, your loan amount was $936,750. Your interest rate was 7%. Your amortization period was 30. Your loan term, again, 30 years. Payments per year, 12 payments per year. Your periodic payment, which is another way to say your monthly payment, $6,232.22. Your annual debt service was $74,786.64. And your loan fees and costs were $18,735. Guys, I do want to share with you real quick that your peak season is April through September. Essentially, that is going to be when you pull in the majority of your money. June, July, and August is the peak of the peak. And if you do this thing right and well, and you have a superb product that beats and takes market share, you will most likely make enough money in those 3 months to pay all of your operating expenses for the year. All right, so let's work through your appreciation. Guys, in 2007, this property sold for $255. You fast forward to 2021, the property sold for $650. Just during that 14-year period, we're talking $28,214 in appreciation per year. That's a total appreciation of $395. Now, real quick, guys, what I want you to see is we are on the boulevard. Look back behind me. That is an oceanfront condo resort called North Shore Villas. The beach access is literally right here. That fast, we were at the beach. I'm just going to really quick. That's your beach access. Let's get down it and check it out. And this is how close we are to the beach. And of course, having that walking distance to the beach is a crucial factor in your listing. It's that simple and that easy, guys. People want to be near the sand and the ocean. Here we are. You're on the beach. All right, guys, so let's understand how to calculate depreciation by using something called a defendable basis. You need to make sure you have a defendable basis for your depreciation, for your write-off. You can't just choose an arbitrary number and say, hey, I want to write the property off 80% of the value because that's what I feel like writing off. It doesn't work that way. So let's walk through how to do that. Now, first you have to calculate your original basis. You take your purchase price of $1.249, you add in those acquisition costs of $26,680. That leaves you with an original basis of $1,275,680. Then you've got to figure out your basis of improvement. So you take the improved value according to the assessor's office. So you go and check the courthouse records and you go, all right, the improvement value on this property according to the assessor is $346,221. The assessor also lists the total value at $821,221. So we're going to take the improved value, we're going to divide it by the total value to figure out the percentage of the property that is improved value. In other words, we want to know, all right, 42% of this property, of the value given to us by the assessor, is based on the improvements of the property, the improvements in this property. Now we've got a defendable basis because we've used the assessor's record as our standard for depreciation and not just choosing an arbitrary number. Now, your improvement basis, you take your original basis of $1,275,680 and you multiply it by your basis of improvement, that 42%, which gives us our improvement basis. That's $537,817.72. Now we're going to take that number, and we're basing our scenario off of a 5-year hold. We're buying the property for 5 years. We're going to be holding it for 5 years. So we want to know what our write-offs are going to be each and every year. Well, you have an acquisition year, which is year 1. You have holding years, which is years 2 through 4. And then you have a disposition year, which is year 5. Now the numbers are going to vary depending upon something called mid-month convention. Essentially, the IRS provides tables and you have to you can only write off based on a certain decimal amount, depending upon what time of the year you purchase and what time of the year you sell the property. What we're going to do to make things simple and easy is we're just going to assume you bought it in the first month of the year, you sold it in the last month of the year, you bought it on the 15th day of January, you sold it on the 15th day of December, and essentially our acquisition year, or our first year of purchasing, we're only going to be depreciating this property over 11 and a half months. Our holding years are going to be 12 months. Our selling year, our disposition year, we're going to assume the same thing, 11 and a half months. All that being said, we've got an IRS table in the top right of the screen. You can see that they give us tables for years acquired, holding years, and disposition years, for non-residential properties and residential properties. There are two different standards. Residential properties get more depreciation than non-residential properties because there's more wear and tear on them. Now, we're going to go down to the bottom, that bottom portion of the chart there. We've got our improvement basis of $537,817.72. We're going to multiply it by our acquisition year IRS table decimal figure, and we're going to get our depreciation deduction of $18,742.95. That's year 1. Then years 2, 3, and 4, we're going to get that full 12 months worth of depreciation at $19,555.05. Finally, in year 5, that disposition year, we're only going to depreciate it 11 and a half months, and it is $18,742.95. That's going to be a total depreciation taken over the life of the investment of $96,151.05. That, my friends, is understanding your depreciation using a defendable basis. Now we're going to look at the taxable income and cash flow. We want to find out how this is going to impact us. What are the implications for our taxes, number 1? And then number 2, what's the implications on our bank account? What does that cash flow look like? All right, so let's start with taxable income, that top table. Year 1, our gross operating income was $207,182.91. Our operating expenses were $56,462.86, bringing us a net operating income. You take the operating expenses and you subtract them from the gross operating income. We're left with a net operating income of $150,720.05. Our interest on our mortgage is $65,271.07. You can write off your interest, so you want to know that amount because that's a tax write-off. Next, we've got our depreciation for the improvements. That was $18,742.95. We just calculated that. We have our amortization of loan fees and loan cost. It's going to be a whopping $3,747. Guys, you basically take 2% of the purchase price and you divide it over the life that you plan on, the life of the investment, the number of holding years that you plan on holding this property. For us, we're going to hold it for 5 years. All that being said, we take the 2% of the loan fees, 2% of the loan amount. That's our loan fees. We divide it by the 5 years that we're going to hold this property for, and we're going to amortize those loan fees across that 5-year period for $3,747 per year. It's a tax write-off. Now, we can also write off our leasing commissions. If we plan on having a property manager manage the property, we're going to write off that fee. That's part of the business expense, $20,718.29. Then finally, we're going to be left with what's called our real estate taxable income. Now, how we arrived at this number was we took our net operating income, we subtracted out our interest on our mortgage, we took out our depreciation tax write-off, we took out our amortization of loan fees tax write-off, we wrote off our property management fees, and we're going to be left with $42,240.74. Now, we have to factor in whatever tax bracket you are at. I've just chosen 37%, the highest tax bracket. You're probably going to be in a lower tax bracket, but for our purposes here, we use 37%. Now, if you hire a property manager and you're in that 37% tax bracket, you're going to be responsible for paying taxes on $15,629.08. Now, if you self-manage and don't use a property manager, you're going to be responsible for paying taxes on $36,347.37. Now, for all of the remaining years, years 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, I have simply escalated the gross rental income and the operating expenses by 2% in keeping with inflation. It's that simple and that easy. Now, let's move right on to your cash flow. All right, so let's get into your cash flow, how this is going to hit your bank account. Guys, year 1 net operating income was $150,720.05. Your annual debt service, that's all the mortgage that you're going to be paying, that principal and interest for the whole year, comes out to $74,786.64. Your leasing commissions, your property management fees, $20,718.29. Reserves, let's say you took 3% of the profit you made on this unit every year and you put it into a little reserve fund. We've got that there, $2,278. Now, your cash flow before taxes is $52,937.12. Essentially, we started with our net operating income. We subtracted out annual debt service. We subtracted out our property management fees. We subtracted out our funded reserves. And we're left with our cash flow before taxes of $52,937.12. Now, we've got to pay those taxes, right? So if we pay those taxes, that's $15,629.08, leaving our cash flow after taxes, if we have a property manager, at $37,308.04. That's what's hitting your bank account each and every year, at least in your first year. Now, if we self-manage this unit and do not hire a property manager, guess what? We have our cash flow after taxes, if self-managed, at $58,026.33. Now, for years 2, 3, 4, and 5, we shifted those numbers straight on down from our taxable income calculations, and you can see those projections there. What does it look like to sell this property in year 6? Wonderful. Well, right up top, guys, you have your principal balances for each year and your total unpaid balance of the mortgage for each year. It's going to come into play in just a minute. I've got you at a projected sales price of $3,285,890.89 over that 5-year period. Now, the reason why you're going to be able to sell it for so much more than it's currently being sold for now is because you're going to remodel the property. You're going to increase the gross rental income numbers. You're going to have a stellar Airbnb, short-term vacation rental business, and those high gross rental income numbers are going to cause this property to sell at a premium. It's a nicer property, it's taking market share, it's being marketed well, it's making good money. Other investors will buy it at a premium because you've taken a lot of the risk out of the deal by buying an underperforming unit and making it a super performing unit. It's that simple and that easy. And we apply those same processes to all kinds of value-added properties, whether it's a multifamily property, whether it's an office. It doesn't matter, guys. If it's an oceanfront condo, you buy an underperforming, more dated unit, you fix it up, you rent it out, you prove that it can make great gross rental income, and investors will pay a premium to have a unit that's churning such high dollars. Now, so our projected sales price is that $3,285,890.89. Essentially, guys, we took our year 6 net operating income and we divided it by the cap rate. And, we kept the cap rate the same on the property, 7%. That simple, that easy. That's how we arrived at the projected sales price for year 6. Now, our calculation of adjusted basis. This is essentially what the IRS says the property is valued at. Your basis at acquisition was $1,275,680. You depreciated the property by $96,151.05 over that 5-year period. The adjusted basis at sale then is going to be $1,179,528.95. Now next we're going to calculate what's called our capital gain on sale. We take the sales price in year 6 of $3,285,890.89. We take out our cost of sale, 2% of the sales price, $131,435.64. We take out our adjusted basis at sale. That's what the IRS says the property's worth, $1,179,528.95. And then we are left with a gain of $1,974,926.30. Now, if we take our depreciation from that amount, we will be left with what's called the capital gain from appreciation. So we take the $1,974,926.30. We take out our depreciation over the life of the investment, our straight line depreciation. We are left with a capital gain from appreciation of $1,878,775.25. And then we also are going to take out our unamortized loan cost. That means rather than looking at it from a 5-year perspective each year a little bit, the whole thing at once, that was $18,735, which was 2% of the loan amount. And we are left with ordinary taxable income to the tune of $1,860,040.25. Now, let's move right along to what you're really excited about, which is that sales proceeds after tax. Guys, the sales price was $3,285,890.89. The cost of sale was 2% of that sales price at $131,435.64. The balance of funded reserves, if you'll recall, over the 5 years, we took 3% of the profit out each year to fund some reserves, $11,390.01. You add that into the cost. So you start with the sales price, you take out the cost of sale, you add in the balance of funded reserves, then you take out the mortgage balance. So in year 5, our mortgage balance was $881,777.76. You are left with sales proceeds before taxes of $2,284,6750. Now, we have our tax on ordinary income. That's going to come up at that 37% tax bracket. It's going to come up to $688,214.89. We have our depreciation recapture tax of 25%. In other words, the IRS is like, hey, we gave you depreciation write-off the whole time every year. We want 25% of that write-off back now that you're selling this property. That's going to be $24,037.76. Then we've got the capital gain recapture tax of 20%. They want 20% of that capital gain. So we got $375,755.05. That's going to essentially, you start with the sales proceeds before tax. You take out the tax on ordinary income. You take out the depreciation recapture tax, and you take out the capital gain recapture tax. You are left with a sales proceeds after tax in this scenario of $1,196,059.80. Guys, this property is a winner. What astonishes me most, I feel like, is how in plain view and in plain sight, excellent investment properties exist. People lack the courage, they lack the know-how, they lack the competence to go in and turn an underperforming asset into a stellar, well-performing asset. It happens in oceanfront condos. It happens in multifamily properties. It happens in office properties. It happens in duplexes, triplexes, and quadplexes. This property is a gold mine sitting here. It's just waiting for the right investor to see the value, put their heart into it, remodel the property, and offer a superior guest experience. It's that simple and that easy. Now let's look at the net present value. And it's important to calculate net present value because of opportunity cost, because of risk. I mean, essentially, let's say that you can make 10% elsewhere. Well, why should you choose this investment over another investment? You have to compare those cash flows to find out what the net present value is. Essentially, guys, you're putting in $432,665. That's considering that remodel scenario. You're getting out $58,000 the first year, $60,000, $61,000, $63,000, and $65,000 each and every year after that property's been remodeled, and then you're selling it and you're walking away with $1,196,60. Guys, at a 10% hurdle rate, a net present value discount rate, you are having a net present value of as much as $543,122. In other words, you could pay $500,000 less for this property and still hit that 10% rate. That's an internal rate of return of 32.61%. Like I said, this property is a gold mine if you know what you're doing.